Here's one. Hey, Steve, I love both shows. Odd question, but do wrestlers wear deodorant when competing, and have you ever worked with a guy who didn't? This is a question from Cameron, the working man who drives an hour and a half to work in Charleston, South Carolina every single day. Hey, Cameron, hell, I got fond memories of South Carolina, and for damn sure Charleston. Wrestled there on many times. It's a good neck of the woods, and I think you people got some pretty big deer over there, too. South Carolina got some pretty good deer. But, hey, man, yeah, I always hated wrestling a cat who didn't keep his hygiene up to snuff. That was one of my big pet peeves, Teddy, when I got into business, was rolling around with a guy who smelled bad because he had bad BO, or conversely, a guy who put on too much cologne. That guy. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's a sunbucket don't wear any deodorant, any perspirant, or puts on too much cologne. Because when I roll around with that guy and I walk away smelling like, me and him just been huddled up together, and technically we have in an athletic fashion in the vein of a wrestling match, but when I smell like him, I'm not so copacetic with that. And it also goes to all the things I've talked about in the past when I'm walking through airports and I shake people's hand, because I like shaking people's hands who liked what I did in the business of pro wrestling or the podcast or some of the movies I've been in. When I shake their hand and they just smell like so much cologne, and then you don't even got to smell your right hand because you know it's on you.
Yeah.
So you go directly to the bathroom to wash your hands to try to get some of that off. But you can never seemingly get it all off. Now I smell like that cat, and I smell like I'm wearing cologne, and I don't even wear cologne. Your thoughts on that, Teddy?
No, I agree with you. You try to go in and wash your hand, and now you smell like the cologne and whatever brand of soap they had in the men's room dispenser there. I can't imagine wrestling around with a cat that doesn't do his laundry, doesn't, take a shower. It ain't that difficult.
Well, the thing about when you get out on the road and you get on in a grind of things, sometimes you're on a 2-week stretch. So I would always try to wash my trunks out just in the sink, just to get them wet and wring them out a couple times. You see all that dirt that's in on that mat,
right?
Because guys are walking down the aisle to get all the stuff on their feet, and then you get on that mat, and then you sweat your ass off during the mat. And a couple days down the road, I always try to wring my stuff out and just hang dry it. But some of those guys who wore those elaborate outfits with the long spandex with the legs and the bodysuit and all that other stuff, man, I tell you about funky times, because you would go in that dressing room, cats would start opening their bag, and I won't drop any names, but after about 3 days was the magic number. Things start getting ripe, and as the days went more, it kind of, it was kind of like interest. It compounded daily.
Right.
Yeah, it got worse and worse and worse. And then when you got to tie up with a guy like that, it's like, oh, man. Let me see. Okay, grab a headlock, send me in, go for a backdrop. I'll kick you in the chest, kick you in the stomach, stunner, 1, 2, 3. That's the high spot of the match. That's the finish of the match. It's going to last 20 seconds, and I'm going home. Anyway, so, yeah, man, I always hated that. Always wear deodorant, and always don't wear too much colognes. Any of you cats that are out there that in the ring trying to be all suave because you want to go pick up some girls after the match and wear a ton of cologne, skip a cologne. The guy you're working with will be glad you did.